I think, Greg, will we kick off?
Sure.
Yeah. Morning, everyone. My name is Patrick Walsh, the Commercial Manager at Aspera Solutions, and we're delighted to host this webinar in conjunction with Greg from BISCIT. The objective is to give an overview of a number of BISCIT's solutions, namely the Wireless Warehouse, Dispatch Portal, and Proof of Delivery. For those of you that may not already know, Wireless Warehouse is a long-established product, and it is the recommended solution for any Epicor customer looking to deploy Epicor on mobile handheld devices to improve warehouse efficiencies. And for those interested, also there's a really good case study on our website from one of our customers, Sencon, who has achieved a 67% improvement in efficiencies in picking and put away. So it's a long-established product. And before I hand over to Greg, we've got just to say that everybody's cameras and mics will be muted for the session, and if anybody has any questions, please put them into the chat, and as we will be tight for time and we have a lot of things to cover, we will come back to you subsequently with any responses. So without further ado, I will hand over to Greg, and thanks very much.
Thanks, Pat, and hi, welcome all. I'm actually going to turn my camera off, so you don't need to be distracted by me. So we'll turn that camera off for now, assuming you can all see my screen okay. We'll get started. So yeah, I'm Greg Hislop, the CEO and founder of BISCIT. Just get that off there. And today, what we're going to look at is, as Pat suggested, the warehouse suite. So this little infographic sort of describes it quite well. We've got Kinetic here, which is your whole Kinetic, but specifically in terms of picking, packing, and shipping of orders. The life starts in order entry. The warehouse is used to pick, pack, and ship them. And then these two nodes here, which sort of cover delivery planning and some customer service sort of visibility pieces, and then on to proof of delivery. So we'll actually go through that whole process today. So what's in a name? So for any of you who you are familiar with the warehouse product, it's actually been named a few names over the years. Epicor have wanted to change it, but what's in a name? Well, nothing really. It's the same great product. It's Epicor marketing, just changing the name along the way, but on the Play Store, if you're looking for the app, it's actually still called Epicor Kinetic Warehouse. I think the latest literature refers to it as Epicor Wireless Warehouse. But yeah, each change of name is still the same great product. And so what is it? It's essentially all of these things here. This is just the main menu, but it's used by over 1,300 companies in 40 countries, and essentially puts power of Kinetic into your hands. It's a first-class mobile Android app. It's easy to use, available in minutes from the Play Store. It's a matter of downloading it from the Play Store, plugging in a license key once you're licensed for it, putting in your server URL, and you can be up and sort of processing transactions literally in minutes. It streamlines workflows for rapid, precise scanning, minimizing transactions, processing time, increasing accuracy, and decreasing errors, and just delivering increased operational efficiencies and significant cost savings as a result. Now, the other piece of that puzzle was delivery planning. It's a newer tool that we've been working on for some time now, and it is, we refer to it as BDP, BISCIT Delivery Planning. It enhances delivery planning and route optimization, benefits planners, packers, shippers, drivers by increasing efficiency. It gives you increased order visibility and turnaround time, and improving customer service. We'll have a look at that as well today. So let's go and have a look at it now. So here's my Epicor environment, and this is the sort of the summary view of the home screen. I'll just that's okay. That's just the just distracted by I've got the auto sync on minimized down there. That's okay. So this is the summary view of the dashboard, which color coding, and just to explain, we're looking at the deliveries, or the routes that we refer to them. So green means everything's ready to go. Grey means it's already been delivered. Yellow is where it's partly ready. White's where it's not ready. And so we can see up the top here, these are unassigned orders that haven't been assigned to a route yet. And we can have predefined routes, northeast route, southeast route, or we can have ad hoc routes which just generate a unique ID. But if we flip it around, so we're looking at it here grouped by plant, by route. As I said, it's a summary view, and if I hover over these icons, it tells me this is a normal route. It tells me this is an order for Addison. It tells me there's only one delivery in one line. Whereas if I hover over some of these, there's multiple customers on this. There's 3 of 5 deliveries are ready to ship, which is why this one's yellow, and we'll look at it in a moment. And there's 4 of the 8 lines are ready to ship. Now, if we flip this around and look at it by route by plant, I've now got the routes down the left-hand side here, and I can expand the node. So this is exactly the same data, just displayed a different way. So if I expand these, I can see that on the northeast route for tomorrow, I've actually got 5 deliveries, and 3 of them are green because 3 of them are ready to go, but 2 of them aren't. So it's just giving you that big picture sort of visibility of what's got to go where by when, and if it's not ready. And so the concept here is that, you know, everything for today should be green. Everything for tomorrow probably should be green. Maybe the day after you might get a little bit of yellow, and then you start sort of filtering into the white stuff. But it's then giving you sort of, I guess, helping you prompt what you've got to go chase. You know, if this route has got to be delivered tomorrow, and there's 3 of them are ready to go, but 2 aren't, then you can start digging in and working out what's got to go where. Now, if we on this view, if we decide that you know, this delivery here, and so these are hyperlinks, so you can just click on that and actually open the order itself in Epicor. But on this view here, we can actually allocate if this first order 55459 is actually not going to be ready, we can just drag and drop it and move it to the next day. So it's now moved to the next day because we've investigated it and we know it's not going to work. I can do that at a delivery level, and a delivery could be multiple sales orders going to the same customer, and the system will automatically consolidate those. And instead of having a sales order reference here, it'll just say multiple. But we can also potentially reassign a whole route. So this little icon here, we can click on it and move it to a new date or a new route, which moves everything on the route. Now, I've got the same functionality. You can notice across the top here, these orders are unassigned. So I can do the same thing here. I've just gone and moved that item into a northeast route, and I've got an unassigned order on Friday as well, which I may want to put with it. So I could just drag that from unassigned and assign it to that route. Now, I can also when I drill into it, now let's drill into this one and have a look at the details. So as well as being able to drag and drop whole deliveries or reassign the whole route, I can, when I open up the route and drill into the 4 deliveries that are now left on that route, I can see what I can drill right down to see the actual items on the orders. And I don't know if I've got any with more than one line here, but that's okay. Oh, here's one with 2 lines. Now, let's just minimize these to give us a bit of real estate. So as well as assigning the whole route, dragging and dropping a whole delivery, I can actually get down to, I can edit this card. And if for some reason I wanted to split this up, I can drill down to the individual lines and just move an individual release. This all works at essentially at a release level, because it's at a release level that you can set your ship to locations for the lines on an order. So I can just select one item on it and move it to a different route and a different date. Now, from a customer service point of view, let's just pop back up to the dashboard at the top here. And it doesn't matter whether we're on this view or let's actually go back to the summarized view. There's a little icon over here. So I can click on here, which gives me a filter option. So if the customer phones up and I just start typing part of the customer, and this one's actually already delivered, but I can do that with it. If a customer phones up and says it wants to know where their order is, where their part is, you can type in a part, an order number, a customer name, and it just starts filtering it. So if I actually drill into this item, you'll see that I just typed in MAR, so it's doing searching as soon as I start typing the characters. And here's my delivery, which it's actually grayed out because this one's already been delivered. But I've got a little customer service icon here. If I click on that, it'll actually show me the date the order was created, the date and time the order was released to the floor, the picker that was allocated to. If he's in the middle, he or her is in the middle of picking, and let's say he's picking 10 or 20 items, it will tell you that 10 or 12 of 20 items have been picked. Once it gets to a pack stage, it'll tell you what the pack ID is and what the status is. So obviously the pack goes through a number of statuses. It starts off as open, this one's shipped, and therefore once the proof of delivery has happened, it confirms the date and the time that the order has been marked as shipped. So it's giving you that historical history of the life of the order. So if we go back now, and we'll go to, so this icon has now gone orange. So if I hover over it, I can see that I've got a filter on it. I can just clear that. I could actually pin that so it's always there, but let's hide it. Now, if I drill into that one that we had open earlier that had multiple orders, I can, it's already optimized, but we can run the optimization process on it with a view to just confirming that that is the most optimal route. And you'll see that it's, in this case, these are just random addresses in the Epicor demo database, but it's 10,247 kilometers. I've put some time factors and cost factors in. So it's telling me this whole delivery is going to take 113 hours and going to cost me estimated cost of 21,000. I haven't gone down to assigning drivers, trucks, forklifts, trailers, which I can do. I've got notes that are coming through. So these are packed because there are pack ID. So if I drill into this one, you can see the actual pack ID, which is why that's ready to be shipped, because it's packed and it's on a pack ID. And again, there's my hyperlink out to the pack ID in Epicor. Here's my customer service icon, so I can see where it's up to. This one's not yet shipped. And I've got a note on this one, which I can just hover over it to see the note. But this is the note that comes from the pack ID that ultimately flows all the way through to, and I can add notes to it, flows all the way through to proof of delivery. There's another note up the top here for just internal purposes. I can edit these details. So if I edit these details, I haven't assigned a driver, a truck, a forklift, a trailer. The drivers are pulling the drivers from the employee records in Epicor. I can define attributes. So I've only defined one attribute. These are custom defined, so you can use them for whatever purpose. But I've created one called a tailgate. So I'm going to say, well, this particular route has got an order on it that we actually need a tailgate. And so with that attribute unselected, if I go and have a look at the trucks that I've got available, I've just created 3 trucks in here. But if I say that we need a truck with a tailgate, and I click that list down, then it's limited to just the flatbed truck, because it's the only one that I've assigned the tailgate attribute to. And then I can go and assign forklifts and trailers as well, if need be. I won't actually push that through. That's probably about it. We can maintain the vehicles over here, where we can define the truck's lengths, weights, heights, all that sort of stuff, because when it does the route optimization, it checks that the truck is capable of going on the roads or under the bridges or whatever. But if we navigate back to here, what I was going to do is quickly pop an order into Epicor. So bear with me for a sec. We'll just pop an order in for Dalton. We will set it to be for today. We will save it. I'm just going to add some lines that we're going to pick, pack, and ship in warehouse. Two of those. We'll put in 1032 FW. We're going to do a dozen of those. And I'll do a 1032 K-nut. I'm going to put 50 of those in. So not that it really matters, but I'm going to put a price on that line as well. And mark it ready to fulfill. Save it. Now, so order 5498. Now, so that I can pick, pack, and ship it, I'm just going to quickly release it to the floor. Rid of that. I can close that. All right. If we go back here and just hit the refresh button, here's our 5498 that we just put in. And if we hover over here, it tells us it's for Dalton Manufacturing and it's for 3 lines, which none of them are ready. Now, the fact that it dropped that into unassigned, there are ways to automate that. Under the settings here, there's a which is where we can set the time factors and cost factors to give us the estimated time and costs. There's also one for ship via mappings. So if I had have selected the ship via called customer pickup, it would have automatically moved it to a pickup route, which if we go back to the home screen, that's what this is. So I put an order in to say that it's going to be basically scheduled to be picked up on the 5th, and I didn't have to deal with it. It automatically dropped it in. There's some other automation so that you don't have to sort of drag or deal with all the unassigned orders, and there's a ship routing field on the release level of the sales order. So you can also use that to automate this so that you're sort of only dealing with the exceptions, really. But let's, we can assign this. I want to assign it to this northwest route. I can assign it using this button here, but I'm just going to, well, actually, yeah, let's do it that way, because I was just going to do it with the drag and drop, but I've already showed you that. So let's jump in here. We're going to leave it on the 4th, and we want to assign it to the northwest route and assign. And so that northwest route is now gone yellow. If we drill into it, it's because one of them's packed on a pack ID and the other one isn't. So if we now jump across to, let me get my right screen, my device. If we, so this is mobile warehouse, this is my home screen, and we'll go through more of this a little bit later. But if I go to my menu and to my outbound order and call up my outbound order, here's our order 5498 from Dalton. And what it's basically asking me here is, am I the person that's going to pick them all? Now you can assign these to the pickers. A manager could be doing it in the material queue manager, or you could be doing it like I am here, which is kind of self-assignment. So I'm going to say, yes, I want to pick all 3 items. And now tap on view, and you'll notice the header at the top has now moved to my outbound order. Now there's a number of, there's lots of settings in EKW that can control the way the app works. One of them that I've got turned on is something that we've added fairly recently, and that is to provide a summary view of this data. If I click on this little, what we call secondary access menu, and go to the standard view, that's what we've always used to see. But to a picker, they're going to see most of this once they open the line. But to a picker, all they're really interested in is what part have I got to get from what warehouse, from what warehouse and bin, and what quantity. Now, at this point, I'm just going to scan a couple of barcodes. So I'm going to scan the first item. So I've navigated to the first bin, and second item. Now this one stopped me because they're serial tracked items. So I'm going to say okay, tap the serial button. I could be scanning the serial numbers in if I have them. I'm just going to select 2 serial numbers from the list and say okay and save. Now the second item that I've walked to is an item that I actually ordered 12 of, and I've actually scanned a box of 12. So it's completed the quantity. It knows it's hit the limit that was ordered. So it's automatically saved the transaction. Now I'm going to navigate to the last location for the last item, where I'm actually going to scan 2 boxes of 48. If you remember, we ordered 50 and 2 individual eaches. Now, other than when it prompted me for the serial numbers, I could scan that order with multiple units of measure, multiple parts, and I actually didn't have to navigate other than the serial number. If that wasn't a serial tracked item, I would have picked all of those items, and I have touched nothing on the device other than the scan trigger to read the barcodes. And that's because I've got, and we can have a look at some of them later, but a number of settings turned on so that you can't overpick and so that it auto processes the transaction. Now, there's other things that you can turn on, like you can turn on to enforce a part validation or bin validation to make sure that the user scans the part to make sure they've got the right part, or scans the bin to make sure they're picking it from the right bin, etc., etc. Now, at this point, it's saying, basically, am I the person that's going to do the next step of the process, being the packing? In my case, I'm going to say yes. I could have selected no and basically would have packed the transaction up and wait for somebody to pick it up in their process. In my case, I'm going to say yes. And what it's asking me here is, am I going to put all these 3 items onto the same pack ID? I'm going to say select all. Now I can scan each item as I'm putting them into a box if I want to do a scan pick, scan pack scenario. I'm just going to select all and say process. Do I want to view the generated pack? Doesn't really matter, but there's the customer shipment pack ID 370. Now, at this point, if we just pop back to here and hit refresh, what you'll notice is because I've created those items and put them onto a pack ID, this route, this northwest route, and let's just flick it over to the other view, which has got these two orders on it, are now ready for delivery. Now, let's go in there, because what I will need to do is run the route optimization, because I want to know which one I've got to deliver first. Okay, so the other thing I didn't show earlier is if I did want to override the optimization, let's just save that. I can select edit the delivery order, and then I get some little drag handles. So I could actually swap that around and say recalculate route. So I have the option to essentially override it. So in this particular scenario where these dresses didn't make much of a difference, but typically as soon as you do that, you'll notice the number of kilometers or miles. There's a setting to turn it between imperial and metric, but yeah, it would typically be more. Let's cancel that. Yeah, I was just going to leave it in the optimized order. If we now jump back to here, we can, now that we've got created the pack IDs, if we go down to shipping, we've got a delivery staging feature, which I'm looking at the 4th of December and the northwest route, and here's my two items. So these are the items in the reverse order in which they've got to be delivered. So it's basically telling me how to pack the truck. I don't want to have to get to the first stop and get everything off the truck to get to the item on the bottom. So by simply printing a label, sticking it on the goods for the pack ID, I can now scan the first item in the list, and if we just navigate over to this stage tab, here's what's sitting on the truck, and here's the list. I've only got 2 items in this order, but in this delivery route. But if there was 5 or 6 items, then I basically, right, now I've got to go find the next thing that's got to go on the truck. When I can do this manually just by tapping it, or I could have a barcode for the pack ID to scan it, and the items are now staged on the truck. Now, that's actually changed the status of the pack number itself. I don't know if you noticed, but when they created them, they were open. Now they're staged. Now, if we now navigate to the proof of delivery app, and we'll go down to, oh, my screen has stopped responding. Not sure what's happened there. Let me just lost the connection. Reconnect that and retry. There we go. So I just navigated down to pod stage. So whilst this functionality is available in the warehouse app, it's also available separately with just this functionality for the drivers, because they don't need all the other functionality that's in the warehouse app. So again, on the 4th of December, I'm about to head out on the northwest route. You can call those routes whatever you like. I want to know what's staged on my truck. So here's my 2 items in the order in which they've got to be delivered. So I'm going to find the best route. That I've forgot to turn the setting off, but we've already route optimized them, which is fine. So now here's the list of things that I've got to deliver as the driver. So I would tap on this little icon on the side, which is going to open my mapping software, tell me how to get to, presumably I'm doing that from your site, from the depot. I'm just going to close that because these are addresses in the US. But once you arrive at the destination, it then opens up that record where you can add a comment. And because these are Android devices, no need to type anything. We could just say, put it at the back door. Right, so we can take a photo. Well, let's do the signature first. So we can sign on glass, take a photo. Sorry, tap OK. We could take a photo of where we've left the goods. This is a photo of my desk here. And hit OK. And that's all automatically save those images back against that pack ID that we created. Once I've done that, I can then go in and say, mark as shipped, which then returns me back to this item. That item's grayed out because it's now shipped. If I had auto invoice turned on, that could be invoiced as well. I can toggle the items so I can hide the ones that are that have already been shipped. So I'm always working from the top one in the list. I can actually show the map on here as well of where I'm going and where I've got to go next. So, and then I just do the same thing for the next item. So I then tap on that little icon there to navigate us to the next stop on this route. So that's kind of the process from putting an order in to picking, packing, shipping it, seeing it update in the dashboard. If we jump back to the dashboard now and we go into, let's just hit the refresh button here. There's my item, the first one that is grayed out. And if I click on my my little customer service icon, you can see that just 1 minute ago, it's 9:32 p.m. for me. 1 minute ago, marked that item as shipped. Yeah, so that's that process. So what I was going to do next, I don't think it's too much more I plan to show on this one, was do a little bit more of the warehouse solution. So I'm just going to go back to my PowerPoint and just have this sitting over on the side here. So one of the things I mentioned is about all the settings that we have that change the behavior of the app. There's about 130, 140 settings, and something that we've made changes to recently. And if I go into something like, these are all the settings pages down the bottom here, but if I go into something like issues and returns, you used to only be able to set these settings. And if you look at all the settings in here for issues and returns, there is a fairly extensive list of settings that you can control. But what we've added is the ability, they used to only ever be able to be set per company, whereas now they can be set by company. So you can see the default option here is company, and I can just enable that setting or disable that setting as I please. And I have to be an Epicor security manager to change these settings. If I'm not an Epicor security manager, I'll see what the setting is, but it's grayed out. It's not available. But what we've done is changed it to change the scope. So you can now, if I click on this little gray edit box, I could set that setting to your company level. I can turn it on or off. I could set it to a site level. So I could have it turned on for some sites and off for other sites. I could set it to a warehouse team level. So I could set it for Mark's team and anyone that's not assigned to a team or any combination thereof. Or I can set it to an employee level, which when it's set to an employee level, what I'd be setting it now if I turned it on is just for me. And so when it's set to an employee level, it wouldn't then be grayed out. It would be an option that an employee could enable or disable it. They would have access to it if you defined that you wanted that setting to be set at an employee level. So actually, I'll just put that back to company level. So that's the settings. There's lots of settings in there that make it very useful. But out of the box, the way the settings are set, it will just work. The settings are to tune the system to your needs. So the second thing was trackers. Just quickly, let me just get with the trackers. I just wanted to actually, while I was on settings, I also wanted to. There's a couple of new settings that we've set in the latest version. Under general settings, there's now some printer settings, so you can set the printer where the application gets the printers from. Does it come from the printers defined from the report styles? It come from the printers defined for the workstation that I'm connected to, or from the warehouse that I'm connected to? So that's a new one. There's also on issues and returns. We've had this setting which I've got turned on. I'm sorry, I don't have not sure how long that's been off for. I'm suspecting you guys missed all of the not realizing that you couldn't see my screen. I was showing the settings here to set by company, by site, by warehouse, or by employee. So that's what I just went through, but I don't think you were seeing my screen. Sorry about that. So there's lots of settings. So we might move on. So we're going to run out of time otherwise. Just wanted to touch on trackers, just from the point of view of, if I just open a part, as simple as a part tracker, you can see that I can actually have images displaying. I can, and some standard sort of tools and UI components that are on lots of forms. So when there is an image like that, I can tap on the image and expand it out and zoom in and out and around. You'll see this little information icon in a lot of places. So I can just tap on that icon and see the underlying data set. Now, because that's the part data set, it's paginating the results. So you're not sitting there waiting, but I can load more. But even regardless of what's loaded, I can just start typing in the filter. If I just start typing commercial, I can then see, some of the settings that I've got, or some of the attributes I've got stored against that part. It's a generic brand, it's a steel, it's a subcategory of washer, it's a round style. So I can sort of search that. So that's in lots of places in the app, just wherever you see the little blue information icon. Also, there's lots of places in the app with this little filter. So I've got this particular item in lots of different bins and probably warehouses, but I could tap on here and say, well, I'm actually only interested in, do we have any bin that actually has more than 1,000 of those items? And there's one bin of all those in the list that does. It has 5,155. I can then select that and drill into the underlying data set for that bin. But what I can then also do is, it's like a drill down capability. If I go into the bin number and then view the bin number, I can see all the other parts that are in that bin that part was in. Now I might select a different item and drill into that part, and then drill into what other bins is that part in. So I can kind of keep drilling down There's a couple of options like that, and you notice on a number of these screens we get information icons which give us that underlying data set for those elements. So I think that they're just a couple of standard things that I wanted to show. In terms of those pictures, if I go to the menu and go to configuration and select part pictures and scan a part and hit process, I can then add a photo. If I just take that same photo off my desk here and select it and say, okay, that's as easy as it is to add a photo, so that if I went and called up this part 1032 ABC in the part tracker, or had it on a sales order, that image would display. So similarly, if I go to configure barcodes, I can type the part number in. I can select it from the list. Just for speed, I'm just going to scan it in, and it shows me that I've got a barcode against it for an each. But I might want to store I've just got a box that's arrived, so I can scan, or a new item that I haven't recorded, I can scan the barcode for it, select which unit of measure it relates to, specify that it's a UPC 12 barcode, and hit add. And now I've got a barcode in the system for both the each and the box. That's how easy it is to add them. I was also just going to touch on a lot tracker, only because we often talk about automated workflows. This is a really, really simple example of an automated workflow. You've already seen some of it in the pick, pack, ship, where I was able to basically pick those 3 items. And if I didn't have the serial tracked item, I don't have to navigate on the screen. So this is just a really simple example of that, where I'm going to scan the part and then I'm going to scan the lot. Now I did nothing but hit the trigger on the keypad twice. I didn't have to scan the part and hit OK and then tap into the next field to scan the lot number. I scanned the barcode of the part. I scanned the barcode of the lot because it automatically moved me to that second field. And because I then completed both fields, it automatically opened these results. I did not navigate on the screen whatsoever. So it's just a really simple example when we refer to automated workflows. There's lots of places in the app that's how it does it. Okay. That's the couple of things I wanted to cover there. While we're here, these are all the places where you can add pictures, pictures and signatures, in fact, and files in the app. So lots and lots of different areas to do them, adding them on PO receipts, on customer shipments, in the proof of delivery side of it, in the job receipts to inventory. Lots of different places. So next, we just quickly cover inbound. So if I go and do a receipt for a PO, now I can go and find the open POs in the list here, or I can scan a part. Oops. Wrong screen, sorry. I can select this secondary access menu and say PO number by part, and then scan a part to show me, so this is the part that's arrived, to show me all the open POs that part exists on. So I'm going to select the PO. I've already done some receipts against this, so rather than typing a pack slip, I'm just going to select a pack slip number and I'm going to say receive. I'm then going to select the item that's received. I'm going to put quantity in. I don't know, let's just put 5 for the time being. 5 pounds we're going to receive. This is a lot track part, so if I try to save it, it's going to error until I put a lot in. So I'm going to say next lot. I've got some lot attributes that are mandatory, which are the ones with the red labels. The ones that are not mandatory but are still available are the 2 at the top there, manufacturing batch and heat. So I'm going to select the best before date, let's say the end of the month, and let's say the original manufacture date is the 1st. I can put those other two values in if I need to, but I'm going to hit save, and then I'm going to hit save again. Now that's as simple as doing a receipt, but we also have what we call template scanning. And template scanning allows you to put multiple elements into a barcode and then map those elements to fields in the form or in that process that I just showed you. So if I navigate back to the entry tab, I've got one barcode here, and I'm going to do one scan, and it's gone and filled all of that information in. It's presented me with this screen, and it's already completed because the best before date and the original equipment date were in the barcode that I scanned. It's actually a QR code. It's stopped on this page because I may choose to put some more information in these two fields up here, but otherwise I'm going to hit save. And if you have a look at what it did on this screen, it put the quantity in, it actually put the unit of measure in, it actually put the lot number in. And so all I've done is hit save and save again. So it's just an example of the way template scan works, so that you can, and there's a number of places where template scans are available in the app. That's just one example. Just while we're in PO receipts, this little secondary access menu, something that we've added fairly recently, is an ability to add miscellaneous receipts in case the supplier sends you something that you didn't you didn't actually order. That's kind of all I wanted to do on the inbound. So I'll move over to the inventory side of things. Let me get the screen back up. And if we go to inventory adjustment, inventory adjustment. And if I scan, a barcode, I can go do a normal adjustment. One of the things that I wanted to show you is, again, if I don't have this setting turned on, this option wouldn't be available, but I've got this little ad hoc count. So in a number of places, I actually see the quantities in the warehouse and the bin, but I can actually, rather than having to do the maths, because I've just calculated that there's, 5,112 or something in this bin, rather than having to do maths to do the adjustment. If I wanted to do that adjustment, I could say that this is an ad hoc count, and I could enter I can't even remember the number I just said, but enter the number in here, 5,215, and say process, as opposed to just doing a transaction for that. It's going to tell me, well, it's a plus 60 difference. Do you want to proceed? And I had a setting turned on to set the reason code. So it's just like a really simple ad hoc. You don't have to enable it, but that is also available as a separate form as well. So just a simple little inventory adjustment, but by putting the count quantity in rather than having to do the maths on the fly. Next thing was inventory move. So if let me just quickly navigate down to settings again. There's this concept called scan sequencing, and it's not on all pages, but we will be adding more. But as an example, if I go to move inventory transaction, it gives me all the fields on the form, and I can select which fields I'm planning to scan into, and then I can go and specify the order in which I want to scan them. So if we go back to inventory move inventory, and scan my part, just hide the keyboard so you can see it's highlighted. I don't know if you noticed, but the first field was my to warehouse. It's put a highlight cursor around my warehouse. So I'm going to scan my warehouse code, and then it's automatically jumped to the bin number, and then it's automatically jumped to the UOM code. And they were the three fields that I defined that I wanted to scan. So it's basically tabbing me through that sequence. So again, another example of an automated workflow where I can just go scan, 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 because I've already defined the order in which I want to scan those sorts of things. Move lot. If I go to move lot, this is a series of move forms that are relatively new, and they change the logic compared to what we've sort of been used to on the Epicor side. And so if I go to move lot, and again, I've got another sort of template where I can combine the warehouse and the bin. So one scan fills both fields. Now I'm going to scan a lot. But I've specified here that where's it going to, because I've got these goods with me on my trolley or in my hand or whatever. And I'm going to scan the lot number. And because that lot number is not unique by part, it gives me a list of, well, which part are you moving? If I go back and remove that lot and scan a different lot, this, oh, oops, sorry, bump that button. It gives me, it's unique by part, but it found that same lot number in multiple bins. So it's saying, well, which one are you, have you got from which bin? And if that lot was completely unique, and I just scan a barcode, it completes all the information for me. So by saying, I've got something in my hand that's got a unique lot on it, and I want to move it to this warehouse and this bin, all I've done is scan the lot number, and I just hit process. And it's gone and found the part, knows what bin it's in. So it's basically doing a transfer from that bin into this bin. So similar, rather than having to deal with the from warehouse and bin and the to warehouse and bin, it just changes the logic of the form a little bit. So if we have a look at move serial, and same concept here, I'm going to scan one barcode to fill in both the warehouse and the bin. And now I'm going to scan a serial number, and I can just keep scanning serial numbers to move through the list. It's locating them as to where they are and moving them into this bin that I want to move them into. So the next one is very similar to that, move PCID. So we'll just go put the warehouse and bin in and move the first one, move the second one, move, I don't get reflection, move the third one. And so it's moved those PCIDs. And the final move is move bin to bin. So I'm going to scan my, and I've got two tick boxes at the top there. Do I want to include parts or PCIDs or both? I'm going to say my from warehouse and bin, and I'm going to say my to warehouse and bin, and you'll notice my information icons. If I tap on this top one here, it tells me here's the two items in the bin, and here's the items that are in the bin that you're moving it to. But instead of having to do one item at a time, and you can imagine can be a time-consuming task if you've got 10 items or 20 items in that bin, but I can move this and then just say process, and it's just moved everything in that one bin to the other bin. Now, there's also an option there that I could move them back to the primary bin rather than telling them to move to another bin. A few little options there, but that's move bin to bin. The last one I wanted to do on here was cycle count. Now, cycle count or stock taking is worth spending 5 minutes on. You'll notice on the menu here, there's a cycle count menu and a cycle count extended. We're going to be getting rid of this cycle count menu because everything you can do in here you can do in this one. And just to confirm, we'll show you that if I go into this first one and select my cycle count, it's basically the traditional Epicor sort of designed where you have to scan the tag. All right, and so Epicor cycle counting was originally designed with a view of printing the tags out that were barcodes and sticking them on the products. When you get into warehouses with 20, 30, 40,000 or even 100 items, actually going through and printing them out and sticking them on is crazy. If we go to cycle count extended, I can do what I just did. I've got a much busier form here, but I could scan the tags in straight into this one field because that's all that's on that other form is that one field. This form works fine for that process. But the logic of this is it allows you to cycle count or stock take by bin, by part, by lot, by serial number, for example. So the concept of the form is this is like a filter form. So if I come in here and say I'm scanning a bin number, and I'm going to scan my bin number, and you'll notice at the bottom it's finding the tags for me. So it's already filtered it to the tags, and it's only just showing the top 3 tags that are in that bin. But then the concept is I say now I'm going to work through all the parts in this bin. So I'm going to scan the MEM6, and you'll see it's found one record. So it's found the tag for this bin part number combination. So I'm going to select it, and I'm going to put my quantity in. And now I just move to the next part in the bin. Oh, sorry, I bumped the side key. And again, it's found the tag. I'm going to select it. I'm going to put my quantity in. I'm going to save it. I scan my next part. And you just keep until you've finished all the parts in the bin. Then you tell the system, let's just finish this one. You tell the system, I'm now moving on to another bin. So I'd go and scan a different bin number. Now, in this case, I've actually left the part number there because if I've also found this part in this bin, it tells me no matches. But I found some stock that I want to count. So unlike Epicor, where when you generate the count tags, you have to tell it how many blank tags to create. I can create a tag on the fly, but before I do that, I can go to all matches and go to see my return tags to see if I've already returned that tag, and that's why it's not finding any. In my case, it hasn't. There's no combination there. So I can just go generate tag, and it's an on-demand generation. So I don't need to know upfront how many extra tags I need. Put my quantity in, I found 5 in that location as well, and I keep moving on. So it's a much different logic and a much different process to the standard just sort of tag entry concept that Epicor had. Excuse me. We are out of time, but just very, very quickly to have a look at issuing materials to a job. Issue materials, I can do that 2 ways. I can select the job number, navigate to the assembly, pick the assembly, navigate to the material, enter my quantity or scan my quantity. Let's put 2 in. Say yes, we need a lot number. Let's grab a lot number 10, save. Alternatively, I can do that via issue material by ID, where I might change the layout of my job traveler to combine the job, the assembly, and the material number into one scan and put 2 more in. Oh, and so need a lot number again. So just with one scan, it just fills them in. Or I could, as I said, the first time I put the job in, navigate through the assemblies into the material list. So you've got all that functionality from a labor point of view, clocking in, clocking out, looking at your work queue, all the standard sort of functionality that you have in MES, but mobile, so people don't have to walk to the corner of the warehouse. So just to quickly start production, and if I scan my job and operation 30 and start it, and do I want to view it? Yes, there's my 30, and then we can go and end the activity and defaulted my quantity and end activity. So there's sort of clocking on and off the jobs. Just one final one I wanted to show you is actually, let's go back. Oh, we can do it from here. Start activity, start production. The next one, I'm going to start operation 40 is actually a quantity only one. So rather than having to clock on and clock off again and record it, as soon as I hit start, because it's quantity only, I've got a setting that I haven't turned on. It was supposed to take me straight to my my end activity stream, but I don't have that setting turned on. It's controlled by a setting, so it's just a little bit different because of the two different types of operations. The final last thing, I know we're 2 minutes over, but the final last thing I wanted to show is when you're in the material queue, you can create your own sorts and filters, which dynamically create menu items. So to go in and create a material query, create a new query, I'll just create one called TTT for the moment. We've run out of time, but if I go in and put a filter on it and say where the tran type is equal to PUR-STK, now I'm going to show this in the form just to show you what it means, but it's probably not really relevant for this one with this setting. And you can do these sorts and filters with custom columns and UD tables and UD fields, etc., etc. But I just created this one called TTT. So now when I set it to only the transaction types for my put away transactions. I go to select my TTT, and you can see it's filtered it down by only my put away transactions. So I could have called that, but once I've finished working through my put away transactions, I might change it to one of the other transaction types because that's the next queue I want to work through. So I don't have to create a code for everything. But if I had have created this one called it put away transactions, if you have a look in the menu, it's actually dynamically created a menu automatically for what I called it, which I can navigate to it with that filter set. But if I go to favorites and go to setup, I can also add it to my favorites. So I could create one called Greg's List, add it to my homepage, or Bill's List, which basically is just all the transactions that we want Bill to work through. And Bill doesn't even have to navigate to the menu. He can just launch it from the icon on his homepage called Bill's List. So a couple of minutes over, sorry about that. But yeah, that's hopefully you got some value out of that. And thanks for joining us. Pat, did you want to wrap it up at all?
Thanks very much, Greg. Very much appreciated. And so I noticed there's been lots of questions coming in. So we will take note of all those, and we will be following up and sending out an update and responses to those in due course. And if anybody has any questions, please come directly back to either myself or Danny. And thanks for your time today, everybody, and have a good day.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining.
Okay.